Hello, Twist Out Baes. I'm Adia, and you are watching an episode of Twist Out Unraveling TV and Movies with Adia. And what we're discussing today, what's on the docket, is Michaela Coel's I May Destroy You. You're gonna dive in and discuss all the things, just dig, just uncover all the themes, all the things, everything. We're gonna just get into it. I'm excited. I really enjoyed discussing this. I can't wait to know your thoughts. So like, comment, and subscribe. Become a Twist Out Bae. And let's get into this Twist Out and this TV show. If you don't know already, I May Destroy You is a British show founded by Michaela Coel. And it's first ran on the BBC and now it's on HBO. Michaela gives you so much to think about. And if you see the whole season, or as much as even up to 7 episodes, you will be floored by how complex it is. It's very enjoyable to watch, even as it does deal with the nature of consent, and it does deal with the nature of sexual assault and what that means in our society and contemporary dating. But it is still so well written, so well executed. Michaela did her thing on that. As we delve into the show, I'm gonna take out my hair, and I have a little bit of makeup on. I'm gonna finish my face up when we get ready to see the look. And also, if you did not know, something that recently came out is that Netflix offered her $1 million deal to put I May Destroy You on their platform. But she said no to that.
Money is nice, but I prefer transparency. My stories are my babies. I want to look after them.
She wanted to keep her copyright, keep her creative control, and that is why she's on HBO now. But I will share more information on that, if likely, because there was a great Pop Sugar article on it, and you've likely seen others, but I thought the Pop Sugar one was great. I would love to touch on as much of the episodes as I can, but I'm gonna try and focus in on 2, because I think on episode one is definitely the catalyst of the whole show. You see from there the chain reaction. Also, episode 4 is a fantastic catalyst episode too. It gives the extra boost to that engine that takes the story just to a whole nother level as well. Okay, y'all, so let's get started. I'm gonna start taking out my twists, and before I do that, I want to say I actually use this well-loved bottle by Melanin Haircare. Yeah, I love this multi-use oil. And yeah, so always when you're taking your hair out naturally, put some oil on your hands. It'll just make it so much easier. It just helps give it some shine. Well, at least let's introduce our main characters. So Michaela herself plays Arabella, and she is a writer. So in the first episode, we see that Arabella is stressed. She needs to finish a draft of her novel in one day, basically. She is hardly done with it at all, but she's got to do something. So she says, I'm gonna do an all-nighter. But she's in the thick of her writer's block, but still trying to get this draft out. She gets a message from a good friend of hers named Simon. And so Simon is gonna be a bit of a tricky character in the beginning, especially in the first episode and on. So we don't know if he really is a friend or a foe, but that's just something you gotta figure out when you watch the show. So she's in the thick of writing. She's still facing so much writer's block that she gives herself an hour. She gives herself an hour to go out. And that is where just the night goes downhill. What begins this chain reaction is that Simon wants to go out and party with her. He wants to go out and party with Arabella.
Tonight, you, me, Kat, and my cousin, the one that plays basketball and likes your pictures.
Yeah, the American.
Yes. Last night in London, he wants to see you.
So what's omitted from Arabella, but what we as the audience know, is that he wants her to tag along as a kind of a distracting piece. He just needs someone else to be there. He constructed an evening where his wife was going to meet for the first time this woman that they could possibly bring into their relationship.
Babe,
Look, we're good.
I'm not wasting my time going out for your cousin to hijack the evening and turn our threesome date into a double date.
We're good.
But really, the situation we find out later is that he and this woman have matched on a dating site, and they've been dating for about 6 months. But she and the wife obviously does not know this. She's not privy to this at all, and Arabella doesn't know this at all. So even as Simon and Arabella are supposed to be tight and we think they're good friends, he's thinking about self-preservation, and he does not make her privy to this information that he's even has a mistress. We see that Simon is being selfish in the moment where he wants to get his way. I believe we see one of the main themes of the show pop up, which is it's really dealing with thoughtlessness in this. And it's like, when we're with our friends, like, how much do we prioritize what we want over what a situation might require? So if you have gone out with your friend in a group setting, but you obviously want to do something and your friend may need your care and support, where does your level of caring come in? Where does your level of love for your friend come in and go to the forefront? And I think we see this especially in the first episode, which I think is powerful in how it grounds this idea of thoughtlessness kind of running rampant in our society. She goes out for little drinks, but she even says in the episode that she's taking it mild because she has to go back and write. Okay, so I'm almost done twisting out my hair, but I also want to say in the first episode and watching it again, I almost felt I felt an empathy for Arabella, especially when it came to her writing and why she even goes out for the night. She's feeling so stressed out about this book and feeling that it's so different from her first book that she just feels almost inadequate in writing this book, because she's just like, this is different. I've never been in this situation before. And of course she's procrastinated, but it's like that's kind of writer's block. You're just like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. This is different. And so that's really pushes her to just go and finish this stuff. We know from the time at the bar to the time that she wakes up and comes to herself in her workplace, and she finishes her writing somehow, that something happened. So she's essentially had a blackout. And so that's how the series starts. And so I think what's great about this show is that they can easily, especially with the first episode like this, viewers could easily be like, no, this is what happens when you go out. And it's like, the show doesn't make it that simple for you. But we see Arabella, and I think this is one of the moments where I really liked Arabella's character a lot, because she doesn't gaslight herself so much in this situation. She knows something is wrong. She was unrelenting in trying to find out what the truth of that night was. And it's like, I think we so often doubt ourselves, that I love that the doubt that she was feeling in her writing didn't translate into that moment. That she was like, I need to know what happened, even when she was very confused about the moment. Since I May Destroy You is based on Michaela's own experience, and that's why we see that Chewing Gum and I May Destroy You are completely different, even though both stories are based on her personal life. And just on a side note on that, watching the show and me tweeting that this show is absolutely outstanding is because we see artists take from their real lives and translate that into their art. But I just feel this is a very brave thing for her to do. And I know that had to take so much work on herself, so much healing. She took that moment and made it kind of a teaching moment for all of us. And that is what I hope people take away from the show, that this show is really talking about why consent, the knowing consent, is so necessary and vital to our culture. Girls shouldn't just be the only people knowing this. All people should know this, you know? And so as I collect the rest of my thoughts on this, I'm gonna finish off. I just took out one more curler, and I'm gonna take out the rest of this twist out. We see her actually go into therapy in episode 4. And the therapist is like, you need to take some time for yourself. You need to have you thought of taking some time off from writing? And she's like, I don't get paid if I don't write. You feel for her in that essence of like, you're an artist. You gotta work to get paid. And you're just like, she really needs this time to herself, just as she needed extra time to finish that first draft. She needs extra time right now to still finish it. And to now, also, and she needs extra time to finish it, but also to process her feelings about what just happened. But you see this recurring thing of thoughtlessness. Her publishing house is like, we'll pay for your therapy. Does that help? Does therapy help? And maybe it does. It helps a little bit, but it's really making me think as I discuss this, like, wow, the things we prioritize over people, you know. And I think that's, again, the power of the show. So into episode 4, and why I say this is a second catalyst, a second big push, big move in the season, because we see Arabella is trying very hard to get herself back together. She's trying to work through the tips her therapist gave her to try and do some self-care stuff like coloring and and hanging out with friends, doing good activities with people that she loves and cares about, because she knows she needs to be around people. And so we see her do this, but she's still having flashbacks, and then she has to meet with someone to go over her book. And now this is where we meet Zane. I believe that's his name. Yeah, Zane. And it's that, I think episode 4 brings in another theme of the show. I feel like the show is telling us as viewers, as any young person out here trying to date, trying to live their lives, that we all deserve to be discerning. And I mean, we all deserve to be discerning of who we let into our lives, of who we hang out with, and of who we bring into our space. And it doesn't mean being biased towards people, and it doesn't mean being a bigot or anything like that. It's really being discerning of do you want to be around people that make you feel good? Do you want to be around people who respect you, who care about you? Like, I can't help but see that in the show, that the show is really saying we deserve these things. As just modern people, as young people, we deserve to be asking ourselves these questions. And that is what brings me to her encounters with Zane. And this is where we get another instance of sexual assault. And it kind of mixes in this idea of discernment and this idea of thoughtlessness kind of mix and merge in this episode. And so in episode 4, again, Arabella she's very raw still. She's not necessarily all there. She's very aware, like she doesn't want anybody to put anything in her drink. She goes to meet Zane to talk about her book with him, and he's supposed to help her along in this process to finishing her deadline. And so we see there that she's just like she's very paranoid, and she's feeling very uncomfortable, and she's like, she doesn't really want to be there. And then and at the same time as she's having this internal moment, we see that Zane is very oblivious to the fact that she's stressing out in this moment. You could easily just think that, oh, she's just being weird and she's just being like entitled, because she thinks she's got this book deal. Because we can just see in this interaction, or at least I can see in this interaction, that he's only focused on the fact that she got a book deal and he doesn't have a book deal. And so he's very much looking at her, he's reading her book and her story, and he's just like,
go into all these different.
What's your background?
Ghana.
Career background. How did you?
Right. How did I start? Yeah, I was just expressing myself online, and yeah, people just seemed to really respond to the stuff I was
tweeting.
Yeah, and then everyone on Twitter was like, why haven't you got a book? You should make a book. So, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make
a book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You don't have my credentials but you still got published. And he's just like, you can very see that he does not respect her.
And you're being published by Henny House. Most people who get a commission from Susie Henny know about Susie Henny. You knew I could sub 3 years of uni for a Twitter account. I know a lot of people with degrees who are good and... No, it's enough to...
I'm so sorry, I have to go.
That's my bad.
He was thinking, oh, you should know X, Y, and Z before you get into the industry. So he's very elitist. He's super elitist. And it's like, sadly, it doesn't seem like Arabella kind of catches this fully in the moment. But she gets overwhelmed and she leaves. And so we see later on that she's back at her place, and I guess she's invited Zayn over to finish their meeting. They start talking, they go on, they have some witty banter, they discuss, and Arabella, she seems to be on her game a little bit more. She's just like, and she teases him, and that's, I think, is just prim. Like, I love that she just chewed him out.
No. You went to Cambridge. You must be hugging your certificate at night.
So she's teasing him in this sense, but it's very flirty. So she asks him, Zayn, like, do you want to color? And he's like, nah. And then they're like, I guess the only thing we can do is have sex. So, and so in my first watch, especially when I saw this episode, I was hoping so much. I hoped that this would be a cute thing, because it seemed like such almost a meet cute. And I think that is the insidious part of that scene, is like when it is challenging us as we think these situations can be so cute. And especially in movies make us seem like, oh, the mean guy and the guy is mean to the girl, but the girl breaks his shell and they become a perfect couple after that. And it's like, no, I May Destroy You destroys that image, just puts a chisel and just cracks it. So they do the thing, and as they're getting ready to do the thing, I remember when I first saw the series, at the same time feeling anxious for her, because I'm like, are you ready to be with a person after what just happened? Like, what we actually see is Arabella is fine in the moment. She's ready. She is ready. She's initially consenting to having sex in this situation. And what, again, this person omits information from her. It is only thinking about their own self, i.e. selfishness and being thoughtless, that he turns the situation into non-consensual sex. I think that is one of the very powerful moments of that. It's being a very thought-provoking, but also seeing, because it breaks down certain levels of what sexual assault is, because we think sexual assault is just forceful physical encounters, but it's also things like this. The two people agree to have a sexual entanglement an entanglement in one way, but the other person breaks that agreement and does something else. I'm happy that the show shared that sexual assault and consent is more than just one thing. There's many aspects to it. I remember I talked to my friend about this moment, and she's just like, yo, like, and we could both recall people in our lives that this had happened to, a situation like this had happened to. And I think why why Michaela put this in the show is because it has happened too often. Women are put like, oh, this is normal, when it's like, it really isn't. And I think that kind of goes back to that trope in the beginning where we think it's set up like, oh, this is going to be cute, they're having flirty banter, and you think this trope of this mean guy who looks down on the girl, it's not a great foundation to actually start a relationship on. Of course, the show isn't saying it's expert at what relationships are. It's not saying it knows what the perfect relationship is, but it is showing that these things that we have said are accepted in our dating world really are not. They're kind of creepy. They're pretty creepy. And realizing that what happened has happened. She hears in podcasts that this has happened to multiple women in the past. And so after hearing this podcast, she gets enraged. Rightly so, right? Because again, I love that Arabella doesn't gaslight herself. She knows that some effery is afoot. So she goes and she investigates again. It's like, girls, you gotta investigate. So that's what we see in the next episode. And she brings up the idea of him gaslighting, of Zane gaslighting her right after they have this entanglement, he's kind of outed in that moment of not having worn one, and then he basically tells her, he basically goes into this routine of like, oh, I thought you knew. She gave her opinion and it was nothing to be negotiated with. And it also just goes into this fact that, so you think, especially after y'all have finished the thing, y'all have finished the deed, you think you weren't gonna get somebody pregnant after that? Like, really, sir? Really, sir? Like, really, sir? Really? So, like, come on now. That is why episode 4, I think it really is talking about discernment. Also, we see in this episode, we see her Arabella's good friend Kwame and he, as a black gay man, he himself has another encounter with sexual assault, and that in itself. So since this is introduced in episode 4, and we see how he gets through this throughout the season 2, I think the show does a fantastic job of sharing how the issues of sexual assault in men, how that becomes taboo, or how it becomes a subject that, you know, because he's hesitant to even acknowledge it as sexual assault. He's hesitant to even talk about it and share it with his friends after this happens. But I think the show does a fantastic job of showing how these situations can be different, because even as these things, they're horrible, that you wouldn't wish. I would not wish this on anyone, that this would happen to anyone. But you see that women, even though it's not perfect, they get more support. There's more resources to try and figure out what happened. And for men, you know, those things are, I think, there, but it becomes a social issue. And that's how we see these ideas of empathy. Where is people's empathy and sympathy? We see that explored in Kwame's story. Yeah, and I think those are the main points that I want to touch on in this video. There's so much that can be said. Let's get into the look. So as you can see, this is the product of my twist out. So stay tuned for my next upload. I most likely will be talking about a movie next. I have some ideas in my head, but you can guess which I might be doing. It's gonna be something from Netflix. It's gonna be something from Netflix. I know that's broad, but there's your hint. And what else? Yes, so like, comment, and subscribe, and hold on to your edges, hold on to your seat, because these videos are coming at ya. Okay, thank you for joining me, and bye.